Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will get lost in the pages of Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, published in 1872, is a classic adventure novel that takes readers on an exhilarating journey across the globe. Set against the backdrop of the late 19th century, it follows the stoic and methodical Phileas Fogg as he attempts to circumnavigate the world in just 80 days to win a wager. The novel, blending realism with Verne's hallmark imagination, explores themes of adventure, perseverance, and cultural discovery, capturing the spirit of exploration that defined the era. Plot summary: Phileas Fogg, an enigmatic and precise English gentleman, lived a life of quiet regularity in his London home. His days were defined by a meticulous routine. He would rise at the same hour, take his meals at the Reform Club, and play whist with mechanical precision. No one knew much about his past, nor did they question his wealth. One day, however, this unassuming man shocks his fellow club members by wagering £20,000 that he could travel around the world in just 80 days. The challenge seemed impossible, but Fogg, with his unshakable confidence in modern transportation, was determined to succeed. Fogg immediately set off on the journey that would take him through continents and across seas. He was accompanied by his new valet, Passepartout, a spirited Frenchman who had only just entered his service. Passepartout had been seeking a quiet life, but he quickly realized his employer's plans were anything but. On the very evening Fogg accepted the wager, they boarded a train to Dover and caught a steamer to France. Their journey had begun. While Fogg remained calm and methodical, Passepartout found himself astonished by the whirlwind pace of their travels. After crossing the English Channel, they reached Paris, then took a train through the Alps to Brindisi. From there, they sailed to Suez in Egypt. It was in Suez that the first sign of trouble appeared, though Fogg himself remained unaware. A detective named Fix had begun following them, believing Fogg to be the culprit behind a recent bank robbery in London. Fix was convinced that Fogg was using his trip around the world as a ruse to evade capture, and he was determined to arrest him at the earliest opportunity. As Fogg and Passepartout moved through each leg of their journey, Suez to Bombay, Bombay to Calcutta, Fix continued to shadow them, waiting for the right moment to strike. Along the way, Fogg's rational approach to travel was frequently met with the unexpected. In India, the railway they were using abruptly ended, forcing Fogg to hire an elephant and guide to continue their journey. It was during this trek that they encountered a young Indian woman, Ayuda, who was about to be sacrificed in a brutal ritual. Fogg, unmoved by danger but stirred by a sense of justice, rescued her, and she became a part of their company. Despite these interruptions, Fogg remained steadfast, always calculating and adjusting to make up for lost time. Fix, meanwhile, grew increasingly desperate, even as he formed a curious alliance with Passepartout, who was unaware of the detective's true intentions. Their journey took them across the vastness of Asia, from Calcutta to Hong Kong, then on to Japan. In each city, Fogg displayed the same calm efficiency, quickly moving from one mode of transportation to the next, while Passepartout marveled at the strange new lands they encountered. In Hong Kong, Fix saw an opportunity to delay Fogg by getting Passepartout drunk and causing him to miss their next connection. However, Fogg's resourcefulness proved greater than Fix anticipated. With no hesitation, Fogg chartered a private boat and continued the journey without delay. Passepartout, though ashamed of his lapse, rejoined his master in Japan. Together, they sailed to America. The United States presented new challenges. As they crossed the country by train, the journey was interrupted by a violent attack from a group of Sioux warriors. Fogg and his companions narrowly escaped, though not without considerable delay. Undeterred, Fogg took every setback in stride, even when it seemed the wager was slipping out of reach. He hired a sled to carry them over the snowy plains and ensured they caught the next steamer to England. Throughout the journey, Fogg remained composed, while Passepartout's loyalty deepened. Ayuda, who had been a quiet but grateful companion, began to develop feelings for the reserved Englishman. Fogg, for his part, treated her with the same careful courtesy he extended to everyone, though there were subtle hints that her presence had softened him. As they neared the final leg of the journey, Fix's plot unraveled. Arriving in Liverpool, Fix finally arrested Fogg, believing he had caught the bank robber. Fogg was held overnight, and for the first time, he appeared shaken. The arrest had cost him valuable time, and though the true robber was later caught, Fogg believed he had lost the wager. Upon returning to London, Fogg appeared defeated. The 80 days had passed, and he assumed his quest had failed. He locked himself away, preparing to resign himself to his quiet life once again. But as fate would have it, Passepartout realized that they had returned a full day earlier than expected. Due to the time gained by traveling eastward and crossing the international date line, they had arrived in London with hours to spare. With renewed hope, Fogg rushed to the Reform Club, arriving just in time to win the wager. His calculated precision had been vindicated, but perhaps more important than the wager was what Fogg had gained during the journey: the companionship of Passepartout and Aeauda, who by now had captured his heart. In the end, the journey transformed him from a solitary, mechanical man into one capable of love and connection. Fogg proposed to Aeauda, and she accepted, marking the true victory of his adventure. That's it for now. If you enjoyed this, check out other books by Jules Verne. You'll find them in the description or just search for them on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Jules Verne's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.